bitch.
What's going on, guys? I'm going to be talking about the top 5 things I hate about Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I'm going to do a follow-up video doing the top 5 things I love in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I thought I'd do the hate and then follow it up with the love, to make it feel better. So let's go on with what the top 5 things I hate about this game. So number 5 is I do not like the deck powerfulness. Or set powerfulness, or the pushing of the newest decks. I know that's not the best way to word it, but I didn't know how to word it. Is I don't like Konami making these newer sets and making all old decks obsolete, or making a ban list where the old ones are now obsolete or are nowhere near as powerful, and then releasing the decks that beat it so you buy them, or releasing new decks that completely destroy everything. I just do not like that. I don't like this. I can't stand that about Yu-Gi-Oh! It drives me crazy, and I know they have to do it, and it's not like they always do it. Like, I mean, they had Bujin support, Fire Fist had support for a little bit later on. They supported Heroes for the last 11 years. They have supported older decks, but they never really pushed them as much. And I feel like just showing a little bit more support and love for older decks when you're making a new set might not strive and push away as many players. But that's just one thing I hate. I know other people don't agree with it, but that's just one thing I hate. So I'm sorry, but that's what I don't like. Number 4 is lack of commercialization. Now, some people might not like what that may be, but hear me out. So Konami, back when it was really big, I remember when I was a kid, there was commercials for it. The show was huge. Everybody was playing it, kids and adults and teens. It was just a big game. It's not as big anymore, but tournaments are still huge. There's still good tournament shows, and I mean not shows, tournament turn-ups. So people are playing the game, but it's not being really commercialized in a way to get with the players, and not necessarily communicating with them, which I'll talk about that in a second. But Magic the Gathering has big tournaments, prizes, incentives for people to play. Konami, if they offered more incentives for people to want to play and be involved and win. Also, Magic the Gathering has a really good online platform supported by them that they release new versions every few years or so that are full-fledged games that you could really learn off it, practice strategies, things like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami has yet to make a game where they don't offer tons and tons of microtransactions. I mean, Konami was making Yu-Gi-Oh! Games back way before microtransactions were even a big thing. I'm talking 2006, 7, and they're like, hey, you wanna play these new cards, you gotta buy these packs through the online virtual thing. They need to offer something that's Dev Pro or competitively, but more stable, more up to date, and supported by them without having to make us pay tons of money or something like that. They should have it free to get players wanting to play. So in the long run, I just don't like their lack of really pushing the game as much commercially anyways. So that's my number 4. My number 3 thing I don't like about this game, which I always kind of find dumb, is the lack of TCG exclusives. Now, I will say it's not as big as it used to be. I mean, OCG still has some exclusives, but as a whole, I just think it's kind of dumb. I don't know why we can't just all have the same cards. If you want to have OCG have a separate format, that's whatever. That's cool if you want to do that. But we should all have the same cards. I mean, they can come out first over there, but some cards come out over there and then we don't get them for years. And I think that's just dumb in general. But if you're gonna make exclusives, make some more CG exclusives. I mean, Noble Knights was an exclusive, but Noble Knights, I don't know. That's something I don't like about the game. I'd like more exclusives and maybe a lower dividing line for it, so there's not as many exclusives. I know you can't have your cake and eat it too, but that's what I'm asking for. So number 2 kind of goes with number 4, and that's Konami's lack of involvement in the game. I know that sounds kind of more that should have fallen in line with lack of commercialization, but this isn't commercialization where I want them to push big tournaments and I want them to make a better video game and advertise more or make better things in general, apps. This is more talking about getting involved with the community. They don't really involve us at all. They don't really try to get the game going. I mean, some people might argue they do, but for what I've gathered over the past few years and watching, Konami makes the card game, takes their money, but they don't really try to help us out or get anything involved into the actual game, really. I know, once again, this is a very fine line, but I just feel like other card games that are bigger, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, are so big about their card games, not just about in the commercialization aspect, just in the fact of we got this game, like, and they're players, and it's like a good time. We make sure it's all like video, like all perfected and stuff. And yes, I know there's Yu-Gi-Oh! Worlds and the big tournaments, they do videotape it, but it always seems nothing as compared to as like other card games. And I know you can't just keep comparing other card games, but it's like Magic has a good platform that I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Should try to take inspiration from and then evolve it. And when it comes into community aspect, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Could learn a lot about that, or Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami could learn a lot from other card games. Even card games that are smaller, the companies are really into the community and stuff like that. So I feel like Konami could make a more community base about the game, just similar to how some video games are taking tons of player feedback in through like Twitter accounts and stuff and actually relaying that into video games. I feel like they could do the same thing to the card game. But that's just me. But now, talking about community, and this is number one, the biggest thing I hate about this game is the community. Now, I know that might sound like a double-edged sword, but I just can't stand the community sometimes. It's a love it and hate it deal. There are a huge, and I wouldn't say it's split, there's all sorts of players, types of players, but there are so many in a fine line that are like, hey, you play for fun? Cool. You enjoy the game? Cool. You know, do whatever you want with it? Cool. And there's the half, pleb, you suck, kill yourself, die, faggot, you don't know how to play, you shouldn't talk, and all this stuff. I mean, I've seen other Yu-Gi-Tubers do it. First of all these Yu-Gi-Tubers that I know of and other players, most of us playing are above the age of 18. If you're going to someone, telling someone like, you suck this game, you're a pleb, what the hell is your freaking problem? Like, I know people say, hey, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. And it's not that I can't take it. Obviously, it's like, whatever. Like, you deal with it. And I don't usually reply to trolls on my channel videos when I see other people do too. But it's the fact, like, why? It's the same thing with people who are like trolls in video games. Why do you care so much how someone else plays? I never understood that in the real world. And this, like, oh my god, he's talking, I have to tell him how he's wrong, so I have to prove how big my dick really is. Like, first off, dude, you come off like such a big tool. Like, what are you doing? I know this sounds bad, but like, it's just, oh my god. Like, Zodiac Duelist is not as bad as it used to be. I will admit that, because I used to be one that was really outspoken against Zodiac Duelist, and I've actually said recently it's not been that bad. But there was times, like lately, I've actually seen people post and they actually like communicate in the comments, which is rare. But there was a time where it was just like, oh my god, everybody was just at each other's throats for no fucking reason. And I know all games, not just card games, have bad communities, but there is something about Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you got people that are so high-headed, I don't even know if that's a word, but like that are just so passionate about the game in ways that should scare other human beings. And then there's the people that are like completely calm and casual. Don't get me wrong, there are competitive players that are super competitive and whatever, but they don't care about the non-competitive players. They don't think, oh wow, you're such a crappy player out of this. They're still like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you. Like, yeah, let's talk about the game. Like, they're players. They both enjoy the same game, but just, you know, they both respect that one's not really competitive, one's the other. But then you got that other half. I don't know. That's just the 5 things I don't like about this game. Let me know down below. I just hit my lapel mic, so sorry if that just like made a big static. But yeah, let me know down below of things you don't like about this game, and stay tuned for the 5 things that I do like about this game. I will see you later, guys. You're a fucking pleb. Get bent, faggot.
Damn. Yeah.